Welcome to this week's edition of the DC Life Uncensored. We're live from the Fight Shop, New Mexico. It goes up on cageminds.com. As always, my co-host, Mika Frankl. I'm Sal Mora. And this past weekend, I can't stop smiling. UFC 193 took place in Australia. And our Albuquerque girl picked apart the champion, Ronda Rousey, now former champion, Ronda Rousey. Give us your thoughts on that, Bell.
Well, first, I do owe him lunch. I'm going to pay up today. I was wrong. Got that one. I was wrong. Holly did everything we needed to see out of her. She stuck her with the hands. She hit Ronda harder than she'd hit any girl ever in MMA. She put the leather in her face, used her footwork to get out of the way. It was the greatest Holly Holm that we've seen, and it was really the most emotional, most confused, most over-aggressive Ronda Rousey that we had ever seen.
Now we filmed a special edition a couple of hours before the UFC weigh-ins took place. The UFC weigh-ins took place. You saw an emotion come over Ronda that you just never seen her really.
She was rattled. If you even listen, and I did not get to hear her comments, but
Almost
Joe
started
Rogan right away, she was over emotional, considering that there had been no trash talk, nothing led up, and that she's the one that ran at Holly off the scales. That was the moment that Ronda lost the fight, it looked like.
That, and then everybody made a big deal about Ronda not touching gloves. You know, Ronda's, I think she's done that in the past with all the
Betch Correia, Misha Tate, but I thought she had touched gloves with, a Sarah McMahon, a Kat Zingano, and Alexis Davis, a Sarah Kaufman. I thought there was something to Rousey where when she's really mad at somebody, but this one just seemed to be in her own head or something.
Yeah, it was really odd, really weird to see a champion that's supposed to be so focused, so driven, so the Terminator, the female Terminator, as Arnold said. She got beat up pretty good in that matchup. Holly did everything to perfection in the sense of her hands. As I said, I wouldn't put it past the Jackson Winks camp to not showcase the hands as much as they did in the first two UFC fights. And this time around, they showed hands. Ronda looked confused as all heck with the southpaw. The movements, the stepping out to the outside leg, she never did. She just kept coming forward and getting those straight lefts right to the face every single time. She looked like she's never trained for a southpaw at all. It was just Holly's night, and I honestly think 9 times out of 10, Holly beats her.
You were totally right. You're the one that said she would outbox her. I thought Holly was showing herself as a kickboxer. I was amazed she didn't kick, and I was also kind of surprised that she didn't dig to the body as much as we thought, that it was really a head-centric beating, but she really did lay into her with those punches. It was a great performance, and right now, it was such a transcendent performance that the fight we all wanted to see was Ronda versus Cyborg, and that fight doesn't even matter anymore because I believe Holly, with her movement and her speed, would just run circles around Cyborg. I don't know if Ronda is even a suitable task. The next test should be Misha, just because Misha has earned it, and now there's a new champion that she hasn't lost to. And also, I really think this does credit to what the UFC jitters are, because you think about, even from a technical standpoint, those were not the same punches Holly was throwing 2 fights ago. She looked much more comfortable and much more in her element being in the octagon itself this third time around.
Could it have been the game plan? That's what I say. I don't know if it was always the octagon jitters, because everybody's all like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. She's the new champion. How is she going to handle this fame? You guys got to understand, she's been a world boxing champion. She is the first legitimate world boxing champion, first legitimate UFC champion combined. She's been champion before multiple times. She can handle this. And that's what amazes me about people. Like, everybody keeps saying, oh, how is she going to handle this? How is she going to handle the fame? What's going to change for her? I don't think very much is going to change for her in terms of who she is and her family life and gym life. Is she going to have a little bit more obligations? Absolutely, because it is now you're going to see more of a national scene. I will say, shame on Oscar De La Hoya and his Ring magazine for putting Ronda Rousey on their cover. I understand it's a business and they want to sell their little magazine and whatnot. I will never ever buy that magazine because it's a joke. It is a complete joke to put a girl that's a MMA fighter, UFC champion, on a Ring magazine, which is a boxing-based magazine. You don't even put your own world champion, women's world champion, on the cover. That's a shame. It's a complete shame for that to happen. And now all the Johnny-come-latelys of Albuquerque and New Mexico are coming around. Yeah, I knew Holly was gonna do this. I told you guys a head kick. I did. Shut up. You didn't know nothing. You were rooting for Ronda Rousey. Everybody said that Ronda was gonna beat her. And it's funny to see all the new super fans come out and state that they knew Holly was gonna win.
We'll look back at our last video, but we did say head kick or body shot would be the recipe, right? So, like, I'm not trying to say that I was on the bandwagon, but we saw how it could possibly happen. I was totally wrong. When it hit the ground in the first round and Ronda started to wrap up the arm, I thought she had it. Holly got the elbow out, and that's the moment I knew it was over, and I was like, oh, I will gladly be wrong to see, New Mexico get this victory, the biggest victory since Johnny Tapia. And also, like, all the Johnny-come-latelys, they're like, this is the biggest moment in New Mexico sports history when we've already had Johnny Tapia, Danny Romero, and Holly herself claim all these world titles. It's just another moment in the long, illustrious history of New Mexico combat sports.
Absolutely. And she's going to get her own parade just like Johnny did when he beat Danny. People short-minded, short-sighted. That happened. That happened downtown Albuquerque. I was there with my dad when I was a younger kid, and I got to see that parade happen. So I mean, there's gonna be a parade. She's still in Australia. She's gonna be there till Wednesday. She's sightseeing with the family and friends, and congratulations to Holly.
Is Holly the greatest female fighter of all time?
Yes.
I threw it out there on Facebook.
Yes.
It's an argument to be made.
No, there's no argument to be made. She is. Absolutely. She proved it.
The only reason...
Saturday night, she proved that she's the best combat sports athlete out there, period.
Only thing I was throwing out there to make a case about it is because I don't know as much. I didn't know as much about her until I've learned about her. Yana Jędrzejczyk has had over 100 kickboxing fights and is a 16-time world kickboxing champion. So I don't know much about female kickboxing, so I don't know if that's up to the level of boxing. That's why I was saying Holly is definitely in that argument. I know herself, she's too modest to ever say that. That's why I was leaving it up to you, because I wasn't sure going over all the combat sports. Definitely between boxing and MMA, I would give it that. I just didn't know, taking in Muay Thai and kickboxing, was there anyone that we could even put in that same plateau?
Based on popularity and based on the actual two sports that seem to be the top dogs in boxing and MMA, yes, she is the number one female combat sports champion, period.
Of all time.
Of all time. And, you had James Toney step in the cage, and people forget about that, and he got mopped up.
And let's not forget about that, understand that. The most successful boxer by far to ever step into MMA.
Yeah, absolutely. And she deserves everything she got in that, and she I don't see anybody beating her for a while.
Right. If Ronda didn't beat her, now that we've seen what Holly is at optimally, this is another level, and it's going to take a while before anyone, at least at bantamweight, catches up. I mean, there are challengers. There is Miesha Tate on her fight win streak. Amanda Nunes has a win streak. Julia Pena has a win streak.
Julia Pena would get killed.
Well, I'm just saying there are challengers out there, and anything can happen. We've seen huge upsets.
Yeah.
This is not the biggest upset of all time.
Look at the striking caliber. It's the same thing. Miesha, Juliana, all of them. Them girls are way below on strike-wise. Striking-wise, Holly put everybody on notice. Hey, guess what? I do have my boxing hands. So, I do have skills.
We know you have a disdain for Ronda, but where does she go from here? Do you see her changing camps? Because the comments coming out recently from her coach are the most idiotic things I've ever heard from anybody. Ronda didn't lose the striking.
Yeah. It's denial, and it's the first time you're going to see, her lose, and her camp's kind of in disarray, and there's reports that he's having some issues with finances, and
he did declare bankruptcy,
and Mama isn't happy with him as the trainer. So it happens.
I'm throwing it out there. She's a California girl. She likes where she's from. She should stay in that area, but she's moved to the Black House.
everybody's so fast to wanting to make changes.
I just don't like the coach, period. I thought that like 3 fights ago.
Everybody is so quick to jump off and say, hey, I got to run to this camp or I got to run to that camp. That happens here locally. That happens nationally. And I don't know. Let's see them go. Let's see them work their differences out. If they can, great. Then keep the comfort level in. Bring in different coaches. Make him the head coach, but bring in specialty coaches maybe to help her out and see if that helps out. But I'm not in agreement to running away from your camp that has taken you to the title.
Well, I think most of the good fighters in that camp should all move from that camp. Just because even I've seen videos, just the cornering and the styles, I don't see much technical advice coming out of Edmund Taverdian. Really, seriously, him. We're uncensored here, it's him. So I could see Travis Brown, Manny Gambarian, Ronda Rousey. I mean, everyone that's credible in that camp. That's why you've seen a lot of them have. There was the 4 horsewomen. If you'll notice, 3 of the 4 now train under Josh Barnett.
Yeah.
So I think that it's something with that coach that you see that we've seen. But I digress. What about the co-main event, Sal?
The co-main event, it was good. It was surprising that it took that long, and then I realized, hey, this girl cuts from 135. Valerie cuts from 135 all the way down to 115, and she took every shot that Joanna gave her.
We laid out the numbers last week. I thought it was funny. By the end of it, the numbers played out. She had about another strike per minute more than Valerie, and that's what it ended up being. It was that rate, that output, and 170 leg kicks landed. Letourneau could be the toughest woman on the planet. The abuse she took, that right eye, her left leg, just the visible damage that she was saying. And Joanna, I'm still impressed with her ability to keep a fight standing too, and she does have great kickboxing technique. So interesting to see her reign continue.
Absolutely. And then Mark Hunt,
TRT La Silva, we both called that one.
That was pretty easily done. Robert Whitaker defeated Uriah Hall. You got that one correct.
Got that one correct. Like we said, he had seen that karate stance before, wasn't as surprised by it. But in the 3rd round, he took some head kicks and some knees that those Kiwis, those dudes are just so tough. I mean, he took some straight shots. I thought Whitaker was going to go down. But it was also surprising several times in the fight, Uriah Hall took punches to the eye and were claiming them to be pokes and would turn his back and run away. And I thought when you turn your back and you're not defending yourself, it's kind of cause for a stoppage. So there's a couple questionable moments.
It's considered a TKO stoppage, but, some refs will stop it, others won't. And it's the discretion of the referee that's in there and seeing how the fighter's reacting, whether they're moving and turning or whatnot. And then we had the snooze fest to the curtain jerker. Like I said, it was going to happen. Jared and Stephen.
3rd round, Stephen almost had him.
Yeah, but it was still boring. I mean, I told everybody on the show, hey, go get your popcorn, go make your burgers, take a couple shots, drink some beer or whatever, drink your soda pop. That fight was going to be boring, and it lived up to every expectation I had of it.
That one did. And then my special little tip that I have for you guys, I told you it'd be a war. It was a war. And Jake Matthews, like I said, one of the brightest young prospects from Australia up there with Robert Whitaker. He was able to come through with that TKO. What did you think of Akbar Ariola's eye? The cut and like the ball was hanging down. It was pretty nasty.
It was nice. So you want to be a UFC fighter, huh?
And then 2 other things real quick, the body shots. Jay Moonstasari with his spinning heel kick that landed right to the liver, and Kyle Noakes sticking his toes right through Peter Sabata. That was some craziness.
Oh yeah, I'm happy for Kyle. He was fighting some injuries and whatnot, and it took place, and he healed up, and he got that victory. So congratulations to him.
Right,
as well.
Big wins.
Real quick, we got a special interview coming up with Mika. You're talking to
Jesse Tafoya coming up this weekend. He's a flyweight amateur who's moving up to bantamweight. He'll be the amateur main event of the King of the Cage Evolution card Friday night. We'll see you guys all there at the Sheraton Uptown.
And when we come back, we're going to break down that card with Mika. Go ahead and enjoy this interview real quick, uncut, with Jesse Tafoya and Mike Frankl, CageMinds.com. Hey guys, this is Sal Mora, the Fight Shop New Mexico. Come check us out, 6200 Coors Boulevard Northwest on Coors and Montano in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Welcome back to the DC Life. Mika Frankl with Jesse Tafoya, King of the Cage Evolution. This Friday, you got the slot as the main event of the amateur portion of the card, having to move up to bantamweight to take on Jarrell Spanberg. So how you feeling?
Feeling great. Yeah, ready to go.
All right, what does it mean to you being able to move up 10 pounds, not having to cut the weight?
That part is amazing. Like, I feel great. I don't have to, taper down my exercises during fight week as much. I like to stay active and be doing stuff. So when I'm cutting weight, that really sucks that I can't move around, because I have low energy. So it's amazing. It doesn't matter what weight I fight at. I just need to get in there and compete.
We've been waiting to get this video together for a couple minutes now, and tell you that Jesse was just moving around the shop the whole time, hitting things in here. So just a little hyper, a little ready for the fight. So what is a 5'10" opponent now? It's going to be a little bit different than having to deal with flyweights, because up there at bantamweight, he's a pretty big guy.
That doesn't matter. I have training partners that are bigger than him that I go with, and they are much better than he will be, and I know that for a fact. Like Steve Garcia, whenever I spar with him, he's 6 feet tall and he's 135, so he's an amazing striker. So, I've been in situations where I have to deal with people like that, and it'll be no problem.
So what is that like, actually sparring with Steve, that giant Rousey, because the kid is all legs and arms?
Yeah, controlling distance is huge. He tools me, but it's okay, because I get that experience, and I know how to close distance, I know how to control range, I know how to stay out of the way of his attacks. My opponent, of course, can't stay out of too much of Steve's attacks, but yeah.
So last one, we talked about coming in, focusing on the hands. Both you and Joey gave me interviews. You guys were going to bang it out, and you guys hit the ground instantly like I knew you would.
Yeah, we were exchanging heavy shots, and we got in the clinch, and I went for a judo throw, and I had taken one judo class before that fight, so my judo was subpar, and I missed, and I ended up on my back, but I submitted him either way. It's okay, I got the win, but I've gone to a couple more judo classes, and yeah, next time I'll get that toss.
So what was it? Did you just see the position?
Yeah.
Did you get overzealous?
I get that position all the time, and I hit it in the back room warming up for the fight multiple times, clean, and it just didn't happen in the fight. He stepped over it. It's okay. Now my
Joey just didn't cooperate.
Yeah, he wasn't with it, but it's okay. Compromise.
So now, where's the training and where's your focus been since that fight?
Being a complete athlete, being able to go hard, way harder than he will ever be able to go for the entire duration of the fight. I want to break my opponents, make them wilt. Yeah, just being ready for any situation.
Getting up there now, this will be heading into your 10th amateur fight. So we're getting pretty close to that pro debut, I'm figuring. So what's that going to mean to you, adding the 2 minutes onto the rounds? Have you started thinking about that, upping your cardio, even though we know you're hyperactive anyway?
Yeah, I train 5-minute rounds all the time. I don't train 3-minute rounds. That'll do nothing but slow me down. So yeah, I'm always training 5-minute rounds. I'm always ready to go for however long we need to go. And I'm just excited. Yeah.
So we know you're just down to take any fight. Do you know anything about Jarrell's style coming into this fight?
He's from Hobbs, New Mexico. He's 8-1. He has a couple finishes on that record. So I know that he's more than likely a very aggressive opponent. He'll be stand-up based. And then I know his body type, and that's all I really need to know.
So then what kind of mentality, game plan do you come into this fight? You can't tell us the game plan, obviously, but the mentality, where's your mindset at for this one?
Just being the best that I can be, being better than anybody that I'll ever fight. I'm training constantly. I hate not moving around, throwing punches, kicks. This is my natural mode. So this is what I do.
And then you told us this past weekend you were at 66 Casino. Tell us what the atmosphere was like for the team.
Oh, man.
You guys seeing Holly capture the title, and we know that there's still 2 more title fights coming up here in the short future for the camp. So what did that mean to you guys?
That was amazing. The atmosphere at Route 66 was incredible. I remember when Holly scored the knockout, everybody was on their feet, turning into werewolves. They were screaming, just going. Everybody was flexing. it was crazy, you know. So yeah, it was a great experience. I'm so happy for Holly. You know, she's one of the best people in the sport, period, and she deserves everything that she's just got.
See that moment happen. How much now did that transition to you? You're like, oh, I'm ready to fight. I can't wait to get in there Friday now.
Yeah, it's inspiring. You know, she definitely elevated the game because Ronda was the queen. You know, she was the one that everybody was afraid of in her division, but Holly dominated every part of that fight, and you know, she elevated the game. There are high expectations now, and I have to abide by them.
This Friday, the Sheraton Uptown King of the Cage presents Evolution. Last thing, Jesse, who you got to shout out to, who you got to thank?
Okay, let's see. I got to shout out everybody at Jackson Wink, the best team on the planet. My girlfriend, my best friends that support me. I want to shout out Lions in the Zoo, who sponsored me for this fight. I got these fresh sweats on. And yeah, and thank you to Aiden Ramirez also, because he's helping me out get an official tornado style walkout shirt. So thank you to him as well. And thank you guys for having me on.
DC Life will be right back.
Hey guys, this is Sal Mora, the Fight Shop New Mexico. Come check us out, 6200 Coors Boulevard Northwest on Coors and Montano in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we're back. Michael Frankl, that was a good interview with Jesse Tafoya. Now you're going to break down King of the Cage Evolution. I hope the media here in New Mexico covers the local scene as much as, or starts to cover the local scene as much as they've covered the national scene with Holly this past weekend. Let's keep the momentum going. Break down the King
Well,
of the
after
Cage.
I'm done with being at this event by myself this week, I'll let you know how that goes, because I have really high expectations for everybody, you know.
Let's go ahead and break down the King of the Cage Evolution happening Friday, November 20th at the Sheraton Uptown in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Well, there's going to be a stacked amateur card. We know King of the Cage usually brings 10 to 12 fights. The only one we have for sure for you, Jarrell Spendenberg taking on Jesse Tafoya. That's the main event. They're at bantamweight. Jess, like we said, 7-2. Spendenberg is 8-1. He's coming out of Hobbs. He's 5'10". Rick's going to be long, lengthy, and a boxer. Jesse is a finishing machine when he gets guys to the ground, but he's been working on his striking. We know that's what he wants to showcase. So it looks like an action-packed amateur headliner at 135 pounds. And then this King of the Cage card is stacked like no other. 4 pro fights. First one off, I believe, is going to be Anthony Rosema taking on a fellow knockout artist coming out of El Paso, Texas. I'm sorry, I'm having to look down to find his name. And it's Carlos Zapata. And we'll see them banging it out. I'm sure someone's going to get knocked out quick. Both men are TKOs across their records. Another very intriguing matchup of 2 guys that we've seen here on the local scene a lot. Derek Rage Perez, who comes out to bang in the first round like nobody else, who's ultra aggressive, taking on Evan DeLong. Evan, we've seen him at lightweight, dropping down to 45 for this fight. Evan, underestimated grappling ability, most of his wins coming via submission. Been working with Fitz, so you know he's putting that striking together under the tutelage of Arlene Sanchez. That's a great mount fight. And then the women, it's ladies' night. They take the top 2 bouts with Amanda Lovato against Jenny Silverio in the co-main event. Jenny is 3-1 coming out of Florida, so she's coming a long way. This is the fight that they were trying to make at strawweight. They were trying to get it done a couple months ago, back in March. Comes to us tonight. Comes to us this week. Amanda, we've seen her kickboxing, Muay Thai. She really brings that striking game. So someone, again, they're going to be throwing a lot of hands in that fight. The main event, Stacy Segala, who she has a boxing background, a long amateur run. She's also had a couple pro fights. She looks to get back in the win column, taking on Nico Montano, who is a grappling very great grappler for the women's division. All her finishes come in the first round. 3 submissions, 2 TKOs. She gets on top of people and she does damage. King of the Cage Evolution, the most stacked card that King of the Cage has ever brought to New Mexico, I believe. This Friday, we'll see you guys at the Sheraton Uptown. It's a huge event there at the hotel.
Absolutely. Go out, support local MMA just like you supported Holly Holm last weekend. Also, big congratulations goes out to
Brenda Gonzalez Means, who is the new CSC Women's Bantamweight Champion. Took that with a decision win this past weekend out in Oklahoma. Two of her teammates also gathering wins on that card. So it wasn't just Holly Holm bringing back the gold for the women and the glory to New Mexico. Tons of teams throughout the state. There was a great amateur event that we were at last Friday. Me and the great Gomez, our production manager here, you can get on Facebook and cageminds.com and check that out because we're supporting local, support the amateurs, and keep supporting.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in this week's the DC Life Uncensored, live from the Fight Shop, New Mexico. As always, it airs on cageminds.com.
Oh yeah, and this Saturday night, don't forget Diego Sanchez is in the co-main event of UFC Fight Night 77 from Monterrey, Mexico. So keep supporting New Mexico.